I volunteer as an usher at a theater in Hollywood. It's a great way to see plays when you're on a limited budget. I sure enjoy doing it, but I won't be able to for quite a while. I can't believe such a small fall could have caused such a big problem. This is what happened. It had been raining all day. Now, everyone was happy about the rain because it came after a long, hot, dry spell. Well, that morning, I was running late, so I made a fast dash across the street to catch a bus into Hollywood. The soles of my shoes were slightly worn. Well, I was going to the shoemaker the next day. I thought the road felt slippery under my feet because of the shoes. Wait a minute. I heard that roads are most slippery after a long dry spell. With the first rain, the oil in the asphalt rises up. Whoops, too late. Next thing I know, I wake up in the hospital with a broken hip and a concussion. Me, of all people. I'm very active, big on vitamins, stick to a healthy diet. I have just a little osteoporosis. The doctors were asking me all these silly questions. How has my blood pressure been? What about medications? What about other falls? No, pressure has always been normal. No meds. This is my first serious fall. Hopefully, my last fall ever. And later on, I remembered the allergy pill I take once in a while. I took it that morning. The bottle did say may cause drowsiness. The same for the cough medicine, but all I took was 2 teaspoons. Yes, I was a little woozy as I ran across the street. So, I went from a nursing home to an assisted living place. I couldn't go home. I live alone, and I was still in a wheelchair. Oh, I did graduate to a walker, but a lot of people don't know this. So I'll tell you, many people who fall, even if they're not injured, develop a fear of falling. It can cause them to limit their activities, which can lead to a loss of independence, depression, isolation, and actually increase the risk of falling. Oh, that, my friends, is my problem. The hip is healed for the most part. However, I feel I can't walk without my walker. My doctor and physical therapist, they both say I can just use a cane. But I'm afraid. So, I joined a balance class to build up my confidence. Heck, I made up my mind. I'll tell you, I'm pretty tough. So tomorrow, I'll see my physical therapist, and I'll try to use just the cane. First around the house, then when I feel a little more confident, outdoors as well. A few hours at a time, a few days at a time. Then, by golly, before you know it, I'll be back volunteering again. I hope that nice-looking older gentleman is still in our volunteer group.
Wasn't that a fun presentation? Well, it's not over. Please stay tuned for more of Aging Well in LA.
Saving energy is simple. It even saves you money. Replace incandescent light bulbs with compact fluorescent bulbs. Set your thermostat to 78 degrees or higher in the summer. Weather seal your home. When replacing old appliances, select Energy Star qualified appliances that are up to 40% more efficient and unplug electronic devices when not in use. Visit ladwp.com for more energy-saving tips and information. Save energy, save money.
You know, I am getting better. I can still take care of myself. You just don't know.
No. 3 times a day. These drops.
Now that Mom's moved in, life has become a bit more complicated for all of us. We knew there would be challenges, but overall, we're glad to be together.
I don't like to call him from the office when I have to go to the doctor's or if I want to go out.
We're so thankful for the help we received.
Well, as you can see, I'm in pretty good shape for a man my age. At least I was, until it happened. I walked every morning, at least a mile, sometimes 2. Worked out at the gym, even did yoga. Then it happened. I was taking my usual walk in the neighborhood. Now, I want to tell you, all of us neighbors have been very concerned about the uprooting of the sidewalks due to these big old trees. Well, anyway, I was out on a lovely summer day walking along with my dog when suddenly the sidewalk and I met face to face. There I am, flat on my kisser, and I can't move. I went into an if-only mode. If only I'd picked up my prescription sunglasses. If only I had left the dog at home. You see, my boxer doesn't much care for other dogs. And when he saw that pug heading straight toward us, he really jerked the leash. Yeah, I know. You're supposed to keep 2 hands on the leash at all times. One on the loop or the handle, the other lower down. Yeah, I know all that. But what good is knowing if you don't do it? Meanwhile, I'm bleeding like crazy. I don't know who was whining the loudest, me or the dog. Someone called 911, and I wound up in the hospital. I felt like I was wrapped head to toe, like a mummy. Deep cut on my scalp, fractures on my face, both my arms and my kneecap. Years ago, when I tripped on a sprinkler head in my yard, I vowed I would be more cautious. Then it was just a sprained ankle. Now it's a whole different ballgame. After the hospital, a convalescent facility, and I needed 24/7 caregiver at home. Oh, I had plenty of physical therapy too, still do. But the sad thing is, I just can't do the things I used to do and enjoyed. It's depressing. However, my doctor recommended water exercises and fitness programs to improve my balance and strengthen my lower body. So I'm here to tell you, I'm not going to sit around. Just as soon as I can, I'm starting those programs. You know, 35 to 40% of older Americans fall annually. Believe you me, I don't want to be one of those statistics ever again. As for my dog, well, he suffered from guilt for a long time. Moody, refused treats, paced the floor at night. But the dog trainer, therapist I hired, helped him to understand that accident was not his fault.
This
This is what happens when you try to be too nice to relatives. I'm talking about that stupid scatter rug my sister-in-law gave me for my bathroom when I moved into my new apartment. I never liked the color. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I kept it. Well, that day, as I stepped out of the tub and onto the rug, I slipped and went face down into all that purple fuzz. I remember that as I was falling, I tried to reach for the grab bars, but they weren't there. The handyman for the building was supposed to install them before I moved in. I never noticed they were missing. In all fairness, my sister-in-law did tell me to be sure to put a gripper pad under the rugs. All loose rugs should have gripper pads. So why didn't she buy one for me? As I lay there on the rug, fuzz in my mouth, instead of my life flashing before my eyes, my falls over the years flashed before my eyes. Like the time I tripped over my little chihuahua. She now wears a bell around her neck. Oh, and that party where I missed a step, clutched at the bookshelf, and all the books went flying all over the room. How embarrassing was that? Then there was a time I forgot to pick the magazines up off the floor. And oh well, who can remember that? Well, after a while, even though I was dizzy, I was able to call a friend who took me to the emergency room. It's a good thing I have a good sense of humor. The doctor asked me, "What is that purple fuzz on your face?" I said, "You're the doctor, you tell me." Well, I broke my hip, and I was in a rehab facility for a long time. As you know, Medicare does not cover everything. In addition, I had to keep paying the rent for my apartment since I was planning on going back. I've recovered enough so I can take aerobic and Tai Chi classes at my senior center to work on my flexibility and balance. I'm being more careful these days with my surroundings and day-to-day chores. Probably the most important thing I've learned is that while older people fall more often, and when they do, they suffer more serious injuries, falls are preventable and not the inevitable part of aging.
I haven't seen you in a long time. How are you doing?
Don't ask. You know those theaters with the stadium seating?
Yeah.
The lighting on those steps is so bad. I missed a step and I fell head down. My whole head and neck were in one of those large contraptions cast for 1 year. Now I still have to wear a neck brace. So how's your family?
Don't ask. My brother tripped on one of those cement block barriers in a parking lot. Broke his toe and his arm. Well, he was devastated. He planned on running in the marathon. By the way, how is your sister?
Don't ask. She adopted a puppy.
Oh.
It takes a long time to housebreak them. Anyway, she didn't see a puddle on the floor, fell, and sprained her back. She still can't go back to work. It's rough in this economy. And being a single mother. What can I tell you? How's your friend Celia doing?
Oh, don't ask. In a nursing home. She became disoriented from all the medications that she takes and fell. Well, thank goodness her neighbor found her on the front lawn. Well, I hear she's getting better, though.
Unfortunately, that happens. I've read that the risk of falling increases with 4 or more medications, especially if you have a chronic disease like arthritis or diabetes.
Hey, have you heard from Linda?
Don't ask. You won't believe this. Picture it. She is in bed. She reaches over to turn off the lamp on the table, overreaches, and falls off the bed. She had taken a sleeping pill before going to bed. She wanted to get a good night's sleep because she had an early audition the next morning for a movie. So she just lays there and on the floor and she falls asleep. The next morning, her cleaning lady comes in, finds her, and starts screaming. Linda looks up and says, "Why are you screaming? You woke me up." She was okay. A little sore, but okay.
Well, I bet she felt terrible about missing the audition.
Well, to tell you the truth, they really were looking for someone a little younger. Someone like Betty White.
Now, wasn't that a wonderful presentation? Marilyn, congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
You wrote nearly all of this.
I wrote all of it, yes. I wrote the skits, I wrote everything, and at the very last one, I injected a little humor. While falling is not very funny, but there was a little humor with the "don't ask" that I wrote especially to lighten it a little bit.
Well, it's so amazing. All of us have fallen. Right? From the moment we're learning to walk, there are those accidents. And I can remember within my own family watching what were humorous falls and then suddenly realizing, wait a second, this is an 85-year-old woman that just tumbled out of a chair. And you made such wonderful use of these statistics. Anna and Emily, the statistics are really involving flesh and blood people of certain years.
Right. It's true that we see falls can just cause a bruised ego, or it can cause some serious injuries like hip fractures and head traumas. And it can also cause a major reduction in quality of life, unfortunately. That's why so much of the work that we do is in an effort to raise awareness among older adults and their families and senior service and healthcare providers about the common fall risks and ways to reduce them.
Assembling these statistics, things like unsecured carpets, they are serious risks for seniors.
Yeah, there's a lot of different fall risks, both that are related individually to the person, but also out in the environment as well.
Yes.
And so in talking with people about ways to reduce their falls, one way that I think of to help me remember all these different ways, and we consider it multifactorial. There's a lot of different factors that we have to consider. And so I use the 4 E's to help me. And so the first E is evaluation. So that's looking at the person, looking, have they fallen before? What kind of chronic conditions do they have that might predispose them or make them more likely to fall? So things that are related to the individual, evaluating them for their own individual fall risk. So that's the first E. The second E is exercise, or some people prefer to call it physical activity. And I think we all know the important benefits of exercising, but specifically for fall prevention, increasing your strength and flexibility and endurance can really address some fall risk factors for the individual. The third E is environment. So we look at things inside the home, such as throw rugs and stairs and lighting, but also out in the environment that all of us encounter. Things like those little cement blocks that
in parking lots.
That help stop your car, and uneven sidewalks and poor lighting. We kind of encounter that everywhere. And so looking at the environment and being aware of how you interact with the environment. And then the last E is education, and that kind of takes everything into consideration. So looking at your own fall risks and learning about ways to reduce them, and making decisions that help keep you safe, you and your family safe.
It makes such sense. You know, all of us who have had little children in the house, we all know about making the house kid safe. You know, taping up sharp edges and then, you know, don't run with scissors. But senior protection is another component of this, and caregivers exercising due diligence can do, particularly in the environment, as you mentioned. There are a lot of things that can cause problems. Well, thank you all for joining us today. It's really been most pleasant. Well, I hope you took something positive away from this. There's a lot you can do for fall prevention. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, this is Carretero Family.
We are from East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights. You're watching Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to City Hall. Welcome to Council Chambers. This is a meeting of the City of Los Angeles City Council. Today is January 6, 2012. Council meets 3 times per week on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. All meetings are open to the public. For those that cannot make it to City Hall, meetings are televised via cable on Channel 35 or can be viewed by visiting our website. Today is Friday, our traditional ceremonial day. I believe we have 3 presentations. Councilmember Garcetti, I believe you are first. Are you ready? Please, Councilmember Labange.
And before Mr. Garcetti comes up, I'd like to have a special welcome here in the City Council of all the special people here, but the Rhodes Scholars. That's R-O-A-D. There are people from around the country who rolled into Los Angeles to tour. Stand up and be recognized by the council.
Welcome to Los Angeles. Thank you, Councilor Labange.
Thank you. Thank you. Get them calendars and maps all around.
Okay.
Send Isabel down or something like that.
Well, we're a little bit
What do we
understaffed
got?
because you sent.
Before us is Councilmember.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. And it is wonderful to be here on a Friday to celebrate some of the notable Angelenos and organizations that have made a huge impact in our city. And today it gives me great joy to present to you Ana Ponce, who is a dear friend, somebody who is one of the great education entrepreneurs, not only in Los Angeles, but in our country. And today we congratulate her because Forbes magazine recently named her as one of the world's 7 most powerful educators, and she is here, right here in Los Angeles. And while she may have been surprised at this recognition, anyone who knows her work, her commitment to educating our students, know that this is a well-deserved honor. Ana is the Chief Executive Officer of Camino Nuevo Charter School. Mr. Reyes and myself know these schools well. They're in our districts, and they came out of a vision in Mr. Reyes's district in tough times before Mr. Reyes was the council member, when community members came together in tough times to pray in MacArthur Park and to find a different way forward. And one of the areas that they said in the community that had such need was to make sure that there were schools that could educate the children of Pico Union, of what's now historic Filipino Town, Westlake area, even up into Echo Park now as well, in a way that would reflect who we are as Angelenos. The Camino Nuevo Charter Academy provides a safe and nurturing learning environment now to over 2,500 students ranging from pre-K to high school. It's a vision that was built one class at a time and now spans the entire education spectrum. With the motto, College Ready, College Bound, Camino Nuevo is fulfilling its mission of providing access to a quality college preparatory education to students in traditionally underserved neighborhoods. And you know, anybody who's ever visited Camino Nuevo, and for those of you who, you've probably all driven by it and maybe sometimes don't know the high school, I call it Dysfunction Junction. It's where Virgil and Beverly and Temple all kind of collide together in Silver Lake as well. Silver Lake. Thank you, Tom Labange. Do you know their mascot, Tom?
No, not yet.
Okay, good. All right. We'll get to that. He knows almost every mascot in the city. But Camino Nuevo, that beautiful kind of dynamic building that is there, in its first graduating class, in probably one of our lowest income census tracts or series of census tracts from which it draws. And in a way, I want to be clear, it does not cream off the top and just take the best students. It is a charter school that has to be open to all. It had a 96% graduation rate its first year, and 70% of those students got admitted to 4-year colleges. That is an incredible achievement. Camino Nuevo offers small class sizes, an extended school year, music, art, dance, drama, after-school programs, sports programs. The City of LA partnered, and we helped build the field with them. That's both a community-serving field and an amazing soccer field. Whenever you're on the 101 freeway, you can be driving at 10 at night, and you see folks using that field right there, just a little bit east of Virgil. Parent engagement, though, has also been crucial to what Ana has been able to do at Camino Nuevo, to ensure student success and ensure that parents are supported with workshops to help them be better partners in their child's education. But prior to coming to Camino Nuevo, Ana was a founding teacher and administrator of the Accelerated School in South Los Angeles, which was named Elementary School of the Year by Time Magazine in 2001. She's also an alumna of Teach for America. She's been recognized with distinctions such as the California Bilingual Education Seal of Excellence, the Title I Academic Achievement Award. She's an exemplary role model not only for her students, but for all of us who do believe that every child has the potential to be a great student and a great citizen if they have access to quality public education. So I want to commend and thank Ana for her dedicated service, her commitment to community. Please welcome, with her 4-month-old, one of the world's 7 most powerful educators, the one and only Ana Ponce. I want me to hold this for you since you got your hand. Do you want me to hold him? And the microphone is yours.
The microphone is mine. Well, first of all, I want to thank the City Council very much for this recognition of the work that I'm doing. And the work that I'm doing could not be possible if it were not for all of the individuals that are part of the Camino Nuevo community, as well as the individuals that have been part of my personal life and my support network, including my adopted mom, Noelle, my brother, Alex, and all of the friends that are here with me and those that couldn't be here with me. In terms of Camino Nuevo, the Board of Directors has definitely been invested in supporting this geographically targeted community in many different ways to ensure that more students have access to college and have the opportunity to be agents of change to improve the quality of lives for themselves, their families, and their communities. So thank you very much for this recognition. My work will continue here in Los Angeles, and it's a very special honor that I take with me and with my child. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ponce. We have Councilor Labange for a comment.
Ana, and the wonderful people behind you, who some I know well. What a wonderful thing that you've done. That used to be an ice cream parlor. Years ago, a Curry's ice cream parlor on the corner. Then it was a dance place that these guys used to check on to make sure nothing went wrong. And then it transformed to an educational institute, and the partnership with Mr. Garcetti, which is so key. At Hoover and Temple is the busiest sports field, I think, in the city, because it's well past 10 o'clock. It's a good thing it's not in a residential district, because people would be complaining because of the lights. It's so active, but it's that partnership that's there. So I congratulate you, but also, just as Eric's holding the beautiful child, there's another child, a school of a child on 3rd Street at Chateau that I know you're all interested in, and former Deputy Mayor Mike Keeley came and saw me, so we want to get behind and help. And you'll love this, Ed, right next to Chateau Park, another school for high school, same administration to make a difference. Congratulations. Thank you.
Councilman Garcetti, if I just may take a moment, I just personally want to also thank Ms. Ponce and the whole Camino Nuevo family. I can't help but remember back in the early 90s with Mr. Lance, there was a Salvation store at the corner. And right down that street, we had a bombed-out motel. We had some undesirable uses there. We were working with building and safety and planning. We were to redefine that space and convert it into learning centers. And the whole block emerges into practically a campus in the heart of a neighborhood that everyone had forgotten. But what still was there were the children, the families, and you saw that as a priority, and for that I thank you, because I believe they started a whole trend in that whole pocket, if not in the neighborhood. So you are the unsung heroes, and I thank you for all that you've done for the Pico Union area, and it's obvious you've expanded into many other parts of the district, as Councilman Garcetti has identified, and for that, for all the families and children that are now successfully in their careers, academic careers, because of your hard work, I thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilman Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So we'll go back. We'll take pictures. Sure. Come on through this way.
Okay. Looks like we have 10 members. Mr. Clerk, perhaps we should just get this going and.
Very good, sir. Alarcon, Cardenas, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Koretz, Krikoyan, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zine, Wesson, 10 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, this meeting is now in session. Please call the roll. which you already did. First item of business.
That would be approval of the minutes.
Okay. Councilmember Garcetti moves, and Councilmember Wesson seconds.
Mr. President, that brings us to commendatory resolutions for approval.
Okay. Councilmember Englander moves, and Councilmember Huizar seconds.
Mr. President, at this point in time, would you like to run through the agenda?
Yes, please.
Very good. Items 1 through 13 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, this item is before us.
Very good, sir. We have cards on items 1, 5, and 6.
So we can hold that until we finish presentation?
Yes, sir.
Members, any specials on these items? Seeing none. So we will pause and continue our presentations. Okay. On the remaining items, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Very good, sir. At this point in time, you can return to presentations.
Okay. So let's continue with presentations. We do have Councilmember Englander for our Deputy Chief, David Doan.
How are you? It's good to see you. Happy retirement. How's it going? Thank you. Remember my wife? Of course, I know.
Hi, how are you? It's good to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you. And your son? He's another officer. Fantastic. Where are you stationed at? Central. Fantastic. Chief? I need to take a picture. All right. See you. Chief?
And I may see you at the reserve. Thanks, but since I am a reserve now.
Fantastic. Oh, okay. Terrific. All right, council members. First, before I introduce our special guest, let me tell you who's with me as well. Starting with his wife, Terry Doan, and his son, a police officer, Chris Doan. I'm also joined by LAPD Assistant Chief Paysinger, Mike Moore, Commander Scott Krober, Commander McCarthy, Captain Lindsay, Police Administrator Yvette Burney, Captain Romero, Captain Zingo, Captain Horace Frank, Captain Darrell Russell, and of course, our Chief of Police, Chief Beck. Thank you all for coming. Today is bitter sorrow as we bid farewell to the Deputy Chief Doan, the Chief of Detectives, who is retiring from the Los Angeles Police Department after 37 years on the force. A native Angelino, was born and raised in Venice. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in Public Administration from National University. He joined the Los Angeles Police Department on October 28, 1974, and has risen through the ranks working a variety of assignments. During his 37-year career, as some of his assignments have included patrol, gangs, various geographic areas, and specialized divisions, and administrative positions. As a command officer, he has worked Employee Relations Group, Risk Management, Detective Bureau, and Office of Operations. He was promoted to the rank of commander in August 1997, where he was assigned as the commanding officer of Employee Relations Group. David Doan was promoted to the rank of Deputy Chief in 2002 and became the commanding officer of the Risk Management Bureau. Most recently, David Doan was the Chief of Detectives in the Detective Bureau, where he oversaw Robbery Homicide Division, Scientific Investigation, or SID, Juvenile Division, Gangs, Narcotics Division, Detective Support, Vice, and Commercial Crimes Division. The Detective Bureau provides the organization with specialized tactical resources in support of operations during daily field activities and unusual occurrences, which we have many unusual occurrences here in Los Angeles. Among some of his notable achievements under Deputy Chief Doan's tenure with Robbery Homicide Division, the city really went after the counterfeit goods market for the first time. Under his tenure, the LAPD utilized a new concept in the use of DNA, which was approved by the California Attorney General and was the first such in the world. With this new tool, LAPD arrested Lonnie Frank Jr. and have charged him with 16 counts of murder so far in the infamous Grim Sleeper case, which gained worldwide attention. Deputy Chief Doan is a very special individual who has personal integrity, professionalism, and compassion. It has earned him respect with friendships of everyone who knows and has worked with him. He has encouraged, motivated, and inspired everyone around him. He will be sorely missed, but fondly remembered by his co-workers, superiors, subordinates, and of course us in the city family. October 27th, 2011, Deputy Chief Doan ended his long career, distinguished as a loyal city servant with the Los Angeles Police Department. All people in the city of Los Angeles have benefited tremendously from his 37 years of loyal service, hard work, his professionalism, and commitment to protect and to serve, uphold the law, and preserve public safety. We are proud to congratulate Doan Liu on his retirement. David Doan has been, if we can get his nephew, has been a remarkable individual who has done so much with the department, so much for the city, and will always be remembered in our hearts. So on behalf of the Los Angeles City Council, we present you with this proclamation, certificate of appreciation, and wish you a lot of great fortune, prosperity, and happiness, rest, and time with your family in your future years ahead of your retirement. So, one other announcement. His very last action as a police officer was not to turn in his badge, but to exchange it for a reserve badge so he can continue to work as a volunteer with the Los Angeles Police Department. So congratulations and thank you and God bless you. I'd like to ask the Chief if you'd like to say a few words.
Just very briefly, good morning, council members. You know, Dave Doan, a very special individual. Councilman Englander detailed some of his accomplishments, but I want to thank him for his love of the city, for his love of the Los Angeles Police Department, and for his fine work and friendship over these many years. Dave ended his career as the LAPD's Chief of Detectives, which in my opinion is the best job on the Los Angeles Police Department, and he did it proud. So thank you very much, Dave. Thank you for your family. You know, your legacy lives on, not only through your son, but through me, through Chief Paysinger, and through the many other people that you have touched, mentored, and aided in our careers. So thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Well, thank you for this honor today. As you've heard, I'm a lifelong Angelino. With the exception of 2 years, I have lived or worked in the city of Los Angeles my entire life, and I do love the city. It is my privilege that the department has allowed me to continue to be a reserve officer so I can continue to serve the department, and I look forward to providing that service for many more years to help pay back for all of the things that the department and the city have done for myself and for my family. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for the friendships of many people around the Horseshoe that I've come to know over the years, and I look forward to working with you again in the future. So thank you.
Deputy Chief, you have a few colleagues who would like to speak. We have Councilman Labange on the queue.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President and Chief Beck. Councilman Englander, I'm concerned because there's so many of the top management of LAPD here. Either they really love him or they're glad to see him go. I'm concerned there. No, you're staying right there, David. You've contributed. And you look at the history, and this is the great thing about city service. For 37 years plus, Ed Davis was the chief of police. The transformation of LAPD, and always in an evolutionary stage to be on the cutting edge of police service. And the tough jobs and the tough things that you had to do and the sacrifice for your family. So I'm glad to see so many people here to support you in this retirement, but only in retirement in the day-to-day. You'll still be, your heart's there, and it's great to have an Angelino. And then, Chief Beck, this is the wonderful thing that we see, because we have to collaborate in the future, because there are going to be less people. But for volunteers to come up and make a contribution now is really a wonderful thing. So thanks, David, for all that you've done through the interplay that we've had through the years. Congratulations on your great city service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Labange. Our next speaker is Councilman Rosendahl.
I just want to say thank you, not only from Venice and your historical roots, which of course I represent, but your level-headedness. You know, you have a way about you, the chemistry that lets people interact and talk, and you listen, and you show a sense of maturity, which maybe that's part of the aging process or not. And the fact that you're coming back in a capacity to advise and to help and to continue to be of service says it all. So thank you again. God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman Rosendahl. Our next speaker is Councilman Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reserve officer. See, Dave, we can be partners again. I can't. Trouble. Yeah, look at Chief Beck. He's saying, oh, my God, here we go. I have something. But I remember when you were, and I mentioned to you earlier this morning, when you were captain over in Pacific, and all the relationships that took place and how you galvanized a community that was having some issues at the time and moved on in the department with the different commands. And a lot of respect. And that, I assume that's your wife who's hiding there next to Councilmember Englander. Bring your wife in, who stood by your side for so many years. But you've been a real hero within the department. I know the issues that came up with the rape kits and the analysis and how you were coming to Public Safety Committee week after week after week, cleared that whole thing up. You've been a pillar of professionalism within the Los Angeles Police Department. So I want to personally congratulate you. And when you said you're going to become a reserve officer, and it just helps Chief Beck with having more talent, more experience, more professionalism into those ranks of the reserve officers. And a lot of folks who are retiring want to stay committed, and obviously you're going to remain committed as a reserve officer, but Councilmember Englander, a reserve officer, myself, a reserve officer, and many of the people leaving LAPD, retiring, still have that love, that passion to help and serve the people of Los Angeles in this great police department. So I know Chief Beck is obviously very pleased. I don't know if anyone of the rank, your rank, has ever remained a reserve officer, but that's a real tribute that you're doing that. I see Earl Pasinger, the Chief Pasinger, saying, maybe I'll be a reserve too someday. But obviously, the more people that get involved in it, the better it is for the protection of the people of this great city of the Angels. And I know crime is down, and that's a wonderful tribute to the men and women of the LAPD. So to the command staff behind, even Chief Moore, who's back there hiding behind everyone, the command staff showing their respect for you and all your many, many years of dedicated service. So congratulations and welcome to the ranks of the reserves. We are the volunteers, just like that Reserve Deputy Sheriff that helped with that arsonist that caught him. You and I will be in a black and white one day with Mitch Englander in the back seat, and we'll catch some bad guys too. God bless you, Chief.
Thank you, Councilman Zine. Councilman Weezer.
I'm wondering why Mitch Englander is going to be in the back seat. Is he arrested or is he going along with the ride? I just wanted to thank you as well, and thank you for your service. And, we've dealt with a number of public safety issues here in council, and I know when you've come to the table and explained issues and tell us the state of affairs with respect to the LAPD, you brought a lot of confidence and credibility as you spoke and helped us make the decisions we have to make. So thank you for your service, and we look forward to continuing working with you.
Thank you, Councilman Weezer. I just want to say thank you too, Chief, for all your great work, glorious years of all these challenges and these past 20 that I've been associated with the council and seeing your work with the great leadership around you. Thank you so much and may your golden years be the blessed ones. Thank you so much. With that, that concludes this presentation. Our next presentation is Councilman Weezer.
We'll wait till it quiets down then.
Are we ready?
Yes, we are.
Can you please, folks, show some respect to our presentation? If you have conversations on the side, please take them out. Let's give the courtesy that the presentation is due. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, Mr. President, and I'm very excited and pleased to be standing here today with some very dedicated community members. I'm speaking of none other than the people of the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, otherwise known as DLANC. DLANC was founded in 2002 as one of the very first certified neighborhood councils. This happened about a decade ago after the Formation Committee held countless formation meetings in the Department of Water and Power cafeteria starting in 2001. And from day one, they have served as a model for neighborhood councils citywide on how to serve the community, offer guidance and advice to policymakers and departments, and leverage their resources to truly make a difference in downtown Los Angeles. A decade ago, a lot of people may have questioned why downtown needed a neighborhood council, much less two of them. Well, with a population growth from 10,000 to nearly 40,000 in just one decade, the purpose and need for the Neighborhood Council has never been more evident, as downtown is one of the most quickly growing, revitalizing, and changing neighborhoods in our entire city. Some of you may not know that the intersection of 6th and Spring, just a few blocks away here in downtown Los Angeles, is one of the most densely populated residential intersections in all of Los Angeles. Nobody would have thought that this would be the case just a few years ago. And I am proud to serve downtown in the 14th District, which covers about half of the Arts District, a third of the Fashion District, part of Skid Row, and of course a good chunk of the historic core, including the historic Broadway Theater District. And I'll tell you, DLANC is a partner in just about anything and everything that happens in downtown. Through the years, they have accomplished so much that all the whereas lines that you see here on this resolution were difficult to fit in that one piece of paper. From active committees which have come up with programs that are improving the lives of constituents, to policy proposals which have very positively impacted the way we do things at a citywide level. They advocated for the Spring Street bike lanes, which have been a huge success. And they have also worked closely with Ciclavia, which also has been a huge success, and Council Member Garcetti gave a thumbs up on that. They have been instrumental in developing the parklets concept and have worked with numerous city agencies on green streets, complete streets, and other urban renewal ideas. The Sustainability Committee has earned a $90,000 grant to produce green space guides, and DLANC called for transparency in the CUMBI accounting, which has made a huge difference citywide. And they have used their time, talent, resources, and funding for an incredible number of programs and services to enhance and improve the lives of people in Skid Row. And thanks in large part Garza. And thanks in large part to the efforts of Lynn Myers, who will be recognized in a moment, DLANC got very creative and used their funds to purchase an actual horse. Yes, they purchased an actual horse, not for themselves, but for the mounted LAPD force, a beautiful horse. And yes, many may have guessed what the name of the horse is. It's called DLANC, and they call it D for short. For their entire decade of service, the struggles, successes, and diverse contributions, this is truly a neighborhood council we can all be proud of. And each person who has been involved deserves special recognition. We are fortunate today to have a number of folks with us, some of whom go all the way back to the days of the Formation Committee or to the inaugural DLANC board, and who, in one way or another, whether on the current board or on its committees, are still involved now, an entire decade later. So first, if I could introduce to you Lynn Myers, who's here. Lynn? Here. Catherine Brem is also here, right behind me. She was also one of the original DLANC charter members. Hal Bastian. You'll find him all over downtown. Wherever I have lunch in downtown, he's running and walking around the streets. Jenny Case Brudeau is here. Michael Delajani, owner of many of the historic theaters that we see on Broadway. Kathleen McMullen. Shiraz Tangri. Eric Richardson. He's working. T.K. Nagano. Brady Westwater. These are some of the original DLANC members and a decade of involvement. And Don Garza, one of the original guys as well. A decade of involvement with a job well done by many of these folks. And now I want to recognize also current and past presidents. We have Patty Berman, the current president. Russ Brown, the former president. Brady Westwater, the board's very first president. He's always challenged me to wrestle him, but he was a former professional wrestler. I don't want to wrestle him. And there are also a number of other individuals who have joined us today to take part in this very special occasion. And there's a number who could not make it, but let me introduce Rasul Ali is here. Thank you for coming. Tanner Blackman, who is, he's upstairs, but he's here because he's also working in our planning department. Alex Brideau, I mentioned. Joy Chen. Marie Condron. Don Garza, which I mentioned. Los Angeles City very own town crier, if you haven't heard his shout, whatever you want to call that, right? General Jeff Page, who does so much in the Skid Row area. Seth Pullen. Here. Kent Smith from the Fashion District. Kevin Tamaki. Valerie Watson. And Samuelson Williams. Thank you all very, very much for being here today. I also want to recognize and acknowledge individuals who are no longer with us, but I know they are looking down upon us and very proud of those individuals who continue to be involved with DLANC. They are Eugenia Butler, Mary Cheney, Mike Pfeiffer, Leslie Taplin, and Joel Bloom. Let's give them all a big round of applause. So with that, let me introduce to you the current president of DLANC. And she is also, as I mentioned here, joined by some of our former presidents, Patty Berman. Patty?
Well, I guess I picked the right time to be president because of this wonderful honor. I just want to thank the entire City Council for this. It really means a lot to us that we're noticed and that what we do is making a difference and making an impact. I think that since we're all volunteers, I think that there isn't anyone here who doesn't realize how important it is that we have been recognized for what we do. And these people standing behind me get more done in less time than any group of people I have ever seen in my life. They are just amazing. I don't even want to say names because I'll miss somebody, but I am privileged to work with the most amazing group of people who have vision, who get things done, who work together as a group and just make my job a lot easier. So please, this group is amazing. If you could just give them a little notice. It's not that we don't have a lot of challenges still downtown. That first group that was up here, if there's anyone who has any pull, if you could get them downtown, we could use a couple of really good schools. You know, get us a little bit of that going. We've got a lot of issues, of course, as every neighborhood does. But when you look at what downtown was 11 years ago when I moved here, when you could still see people burning fires in trash cans down the street at night, and you take a look at what downtown is as a neighborhood now, the businesses that have come in, the people who have come in, I think we're at 45,000 residents. We've made amazing progress, and we're not stopping. We're going to make downtown a place that is wonderful for pedestrians, for bikers, and for people in cars, people who come to visit. We want this to be a destination and a center, and we want the people who live, work, and own property here to have the best of everything. And we're going to continue to work for that. So thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and we really appreciate the partnership.
Thank you, Patty. And now we'll hear from the DLANC's very first president, Brady Westwater. Brady.
Actually, I'm not the first president. Doug Lance, who can't be here today, is the first president. I was the second one. This was the board that was presented to us at our first meeting. It has the welcoming to the community, and it's signed by the people who are on the organizing committee and the first board of directors. And it appears at any important occasion, and this is certainly one of the most important occasions in our history. Thank you.
Tom, you see this? This is history for the city of LA. As we could.
Good.
Is this someplace or?
And we could put that in the city archives. I think that would be very appropriate. But, Mr. President, may I just add right here, I just wanted to mention the late, great Joel Bloom. Joel Bloom, who was really an active voice. I was then working for Mayor Reardon, but he was always putting it together. And I also want to mention the University of Southern California, for USC did not leave this city, as many universities did during the urban strife of the 1960s. And in fact, they built and built and built, and then they opened their arms for the students of the world. And a lot of the driving force for the housing in downtown was driven by USC students who needed a place to stay, and Mr. Reardon's work on adaptive reuse. All that takes into play. I'm proud of downtown. I wish Joel Bloom was still here, and I wish Petula Clark was here. God rest her soul. She could sing Downtown, because that was one of the great songs for all of us. Congratulations. It's a wonderful place in downtown. And I just, Jose, I don't know if you took a vote behind you, but I bet you they'd be with me for the 6th Street Bridge.
Was the one sole vote on not approving the EIR for that. But we've also been joined by Wendell Blessingame, who's joined us. And we also have with us our new Central Division Captain for LAPD, Captain Frank, who's joined us as well. Welcome.
Great.
And folks, to end this, we have a resolution to thank them for their decade of service. The neighborhood council system has certainly added additional voices for people in neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles to have a closer connection to their government. But at the same, you've seen that in D-Lang's case, this certainly has been the case. And these are an incredible group of people that without them, downtown wouldn't has witnessed the transformation that it has in the last 10 years. Thank you so much.
Councilman Huizar, before we end, we have Councilman Garcetti on the queue.
Just very briefly, I wanted to add my voice as well, and thank you, Mr. Huizar, for doing this. And when I look at the panoply of folks that are here, you have made such an impact not just on downtown, but on this city. This is where the city started. And whenever you hear people bash downtown, those of us who work here, those of us who live there, people saying, oh, it's just about downtown as some sort of center of the city that everybody wants to build up. What you showed is that downtown at the end of the day is a neighborhood. Just like Granada Hills, just like San Pedro, just like Brentwood, just like Boyle Heights. It's a neighborhood. And that the richness of that neighborhood, visionaries Michael Delagianni and his family, people who, came from places like Hollywood, which I like to think we have the barbells of the comeback in LA is between Hollywood and downtown, and now the Wilshire Center area is making this a place to live and play. How, the things that you've done for small businesses, not only by showing the way in downtown, but outside of downtown and going the extra mile. And Brady, one of the most creative, never stopped thinking, never stopped imagining what this city could be. He's an incredible, incredible person, and our great town crier who has come here and cried in all sorts of ways here before us, putting himself forward and letting himself go there. This has been a place, I hope, of renewal. At the end of the day, we serve every single day in your neighborhood council territory. And so we thank you for not only reminding us what a center should be like, but what a neighborhood can feel like. And you've done that. Congratulations to Mr. Huizar and Ms. Perry for being great partners along the line, Mr. Reyes as well. And we wish you many more years of people remembering the heart of LA is right here.
Thank you, Councilmember Huizar. That concludes the presentation.
Yes, and I also want to acknowledge the hard work of Councilwoman Jan Perry, who we both share downtown, and also a historian for downtown and the city that is everywhere and anywhere taking pictures. Gary Leonard is here.
The governor.
Consider him a very important member of the downtown community.
All right, Governor.
Thank you all very, very much on behalf of the city of Los Angeles, and we look forward to bigger and greater things for downtown LA. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Okay, colleagues, that concludes the public presentation. We have 3 cards for public comment. As soon as the podium clears, I'd like to call up the 3 speakers. We have Arnold Sachs, Dr. Tom Williams, and Mr. Dan Garza. So as soon as the podium clears, can the three speakers come on up? We have Arnold Sachs, Dr. Tom Williams, and Dan Garza. If we could clear the podium area, please. Would the three speakers come to the microphone? Can we please move the guests on to the next area, please? Thank you very much. Welcome to City Hall. Mr. Sachs.
Yes.
Public
Thank you.
comment.
Good morning. Arnold Sachs. I'd like to congratulate you, Councilman Reyes, for your Mr. Peabody action of being able to, again, appear on the Gold Line Construction Authority before it was even legalized by the state legislature. Now that it's been passed as a bill, an amendment, it still doesn't answer how the Gold Line, the LA to Pasadena Gold Line Construction Authority ended up with property in the valley, in the foothills, excuse me. That being said, attending meetings just like the City of Bell, you know, they got a lot of problems with the City of Bell because they claim that the councilmen were going to meetings of agencies that didn't exist. It's almost like that. That being said, I'd also wanted to make a little short mention about Mrs. Yaroslavsky's comment regarding the CDBG funds and the fact that when the county allocated the money, $56 million, $14 million of that was unspent funds from previous years. So what she's talking about, getting some money back when $14 million hasn't been spent, it's mind-boggling. There was a story in the Daily Breeze regarding the court's mandate regarding and the CRA. So I had a great idea that would help the city. You could actually help the city here, the council, if you deferred $150,000 of your salary per year, like you're deferring paying the overtime for the LAPD and the ERIP program. You would come up with $1.6 million, which would be exactly the amount you need for the neighborhood council elections, and it would give you the opportunity to learn the difference between affordable housing and low-income housing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Mr. Tom Williams, Dr. Tom Williams.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council Board member. Yeah, there are 95 of us now. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, there will be a coalition of all of the neighborhood councils meeting every first Saturday. So what do we have? Neighborhood councils. I'm a member of one. One of our chief issues right now is the State Route 710 North Extension, quotes, gap closure by Caltrans and MTA. One of the issues is that, hey, are we going to be represented on the Technical Advisory Committee that meets on the 18th of January and that's already been circulated to all of the other cities involved, that is South Pasadena and Pasadena? They've already scheduled the meeting. Subjects are kind of confused, but that's 710. But who in the city of Los Angeles is going to represent El Sereno, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, CD14, and the city for this very important project? Just the consultancy is $35 million. The project is now over $7 billion to go from Valley to Pasadena. But we don't even know what the project is because they don't want to say what they're going to do. So I would like to know who within the LA DOT, within LA DPW, within LA Planning maybe, within CD14, who's going to be there? Because last time that we had Quo's Technical Advisory Committee, nobody of the 2 designated people ever showed up until the very last one. So how are we being represented? Neighborhood councils represent their people, and we're trying to get LA City to represent us.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Our next speaker is Maria Virgilio. Good morning.
Good morning, council members. My name is Maria Virgilio, and I am here to discuss the HPOZ ordinance for Lincoln Heights. I have the utmost respect for the historical preservation of homes. However, I would ask that structural damage and foundation repairs be taken into consideration for these distressed properties. The current demographics of Lincoln Heights are financially unable to complete necessary foundation and structural repairs. There is no future growth or development in these areas. I have suffered significant financial loss on my property due to the collapse of the real estate market and now the significant structural and foundation repairs required. It was suggested to me by the zoning committee to complete the repairs in excess of $100,000. I have had several interested developers and investors interested and ask why my property is being singled out for historical purposes when the properties that border mine appear to be agricultural farming businesses with corn and squash. A parcel map split was a consideration. However, the terms and conditions are discouraging and not promised. I would ask that my parcel be considered as non-contributing, and I thank you for your consideration.
Sorry, in what council district are you in?
Lincoln Heights.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Mr. Herman. Please.
What is essential? What is important when it comes to public issues? Why are staff or staff within council chambers speaking when public speakers speak? The rudeness, the severity of lack of mannerism, ethical, courtesy, where does it all go? Who does it fall upon when people don't take the time to listen to their constituencies or listen to the public? Why are staff not attentive to intakes of our neighborhood services? When do staff make effort that empowers residents to provide valuable information about the services available when you need assistance? Unfortunately, staff in Mr. Weezar's office have been very rude towards me, and I'm pretty sure towards others in our community. When you say, what do you want? What do you need? Now what do you want? Those are very rude comments. Let's discourage such comments. This is an unwelcome attitude of dialogue. And let's upbuild this inappropriate action done by staff members, Ms. Hilda Carrillo, Jennifer Martinez, and I'm going to stop there because I respect people. City Council works to determine solutions, array of problems that affect the lives and the welfare of millions of city residents, to provide public safety and to improve the quality of life in our community. I speak out today, and I ask that Mr. Weezar, if you're here and if you're listening, and the staff that I mentioned, please respect those in our community. Respect people with disabilities. Respect people in poverty. Respect people who are homeless. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next speaker is Dan Garza.
Mr. Reyes.
Councilman Weezar.
Thank you for coming again. At the last council meeting, I spoke with you after your public comments, and I mentioned to you how we're going to work on the number of issues you bring to the attention of our office. But we would ask for that courtesy that you also give to my staff, as much as you expect them to be courteous to you. And we're more than happy to continue working with you. I spoke to you after the last public comment that you made at the last meeting. I'll do so again. But then again, there's mutual respect in this. You treat people with respect, you get that respect in return. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Our next speaker is Dan Garza. Is Dan here? Okay, don't see Mr. Garza. Mr. Clerk, what's next? What's before us?
Mr. President, that takes council back to items called special.
We do have several cards special. What would be the first item?
That would be item number 1, called special for cards.
Okay, we do have Mr. Arnold Sack on item number 1.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Arnold Sachs. In this item here, it's stating that this action on Mission Road is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act of 1970. So I'm wondering, because when the governor of California, Jerry Brown, passed the waiver for the required environmental review of the CEQA Act for the downtown stadium, he passed a companion bill that allows projects of a certain financial status to be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Acts of 1970. So the question is, when does the public have an opportunity to hear about those projects that are excessive funded? I mean, large projects that would not have to meet these requirements from the 1970 CEQA Act, but would have to fall under the new requirements that would require arbitration and have to be heard within 45 days of the project being okayed. Because we know from previous discussions how many projects in the city of LA
Mr. President,
are
he's not
shovel
talking
ready.
about this dedication.
I'm addressing the CEQA part of the dedication on this item, Mr. President. So I'm expanding on that item, CEQA requirements, and the fact that there's a new amendment to the CEQA requirements that allows high-profile projects with large costs to be exempt from these 1970
Mr. Sachs,
requirements.
thank you. That was your time. Please stay there. You have items 5 and 6. On item 1, we'll open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Okay, you're on for number 5.
11 ayes.
Thank you. 11 ayes. Number
Mr.
5.
President, would you like to take 5 and 6 together?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Take 5 and 6. I could speak for 3 minutes.
Mr.
Okay.
Sachs.
On item number 5, thank you again, Arnold Sachs. I'm looking at this item and I'm looking at this and it's saying, reaffirm the findings of October 8, 2008, that this vacation is in substantial conformance with the general plan pursuant to Section 556 of the Los Angeles City Charter. So this general plan would have been developed. I'm just curious to know when this general plan would have been developed, because it seems like general plans are developed like the downtown area.
Mr. Sachs, can you second, please? You have 3 minutes left, so for the 2 items, you want to finish this and do 6, you're done.
I got to thank you, Mr. President. So people should be aware. They need to find out, and it would be helpful to the public when you put these items on the agenda that you mention when this general plan was approved, because all too often it's not only the general plan but the parts that are what's the word that was used? Damn, brain freeze. It's the parts that aren't verbalized or written down in these general plans that get passed through, as with the signage routine at the LA Live, where permits were grandfathered through but never part of any kind of plan. So it would be great when you put these items on that people get an idea of how old these plans are and for the extended time frame that the plans would run. That would conclude my item discussion on item number 5. Item number 6, and by proxy, item number 8, item number 10, or item number 9, all relate to sidewalk dedication of an easement for street and sidewalk purposes, and find that the Board of Public Works is to acquire the easement for street and sidewalk purposes. So the question would be, are they going to build sidewalks? Why, after hearing from the head of the Budget and Finance Department, is the city building sidewalks? Their claim is they can't afford to repair the sidewalks they already have. So what's the solution? Build more sidewalks. Wow, that's a beautiful idea. It's the same kind of reasoning, I guess, on how you balance the budget. Don't pay the bills. That'll balance everybody's budget. Can that work for the public? So when you bill the public for sidewalk repair, should they refer back to these items on your agenda from today's date that allowed for the Department of Public Works for an easement to construct sidewalks in the city of LA?
Sachs. That is items 5 and 6. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Mr. Clerk, I believe we have a special.
Mr. President, it has yet to be circulated.
Okay, so what's before us then?
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
So let's take a couple of seconds to wait and see if the Rule 23 will actually emerge. I believe it's being circulated. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Special one. Okay, it's being circulated now. Okay.
Mr. President, in the meantime, would you like to post and refer those motions?
Yes. Those motions have been posted and referred. I do believe they are being circulated.
Mr. President, now before us is special one. It has been circulated, and the city attorney will speak to the findings.
Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since the posting of today's agenda, the LAPD has requested that Council offer a reward for information leading to the arrest of suspects responsible for the stabbing death of Emile Roman on December 14th, 2011 at approximately 4:25 p.m. near the intersection of Cerez Avenue and 7th Street. Immediate action is required for the safety of the community. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Okay, so we have before us the vote. Mr. Clerk, on the findings. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now on the merits of the item. Would you like to open up for public comment? I have no public comment cards.
Just announcements. Can we go back to that before we do?
Let's open the roll on special one. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Mr. Clerk was before us.
Mr. President, the desk is clear.
Okay, any announcements, colleagues?
Mr. President, first of all, it's good to see you up there. I'm very worried about what's going to happen with our state on our welfare issues, our Medi-Cal issues, and the other issues that our governor pointed out yesterday when he held a press conference.
Councilmembers, if I may, can the chambers please quiet down? Let's allow Mr. Rowland to be heard. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
And the reason I bring it up is because we are the local government where the rubber hits the road. We are the end game of what happens in politics in our nation, our state, our county. We are where the streets need to be repaired, where homeless issues need to be dealt with, where education is a serious priority, and where senior health care is a significant issue to all of us. So on that note, I just want us to appreciate the tough times we're in. And my hope is that we can restructure our state budget in our county and our city so we can continue to provide services for those who are suffering, and that's been part of the American mandate. So I just want to point out that as we deal next week with the CRA issues, when we deal in the future with our own budget, and we deal with all of the social programs that are in jeopardy right now, that we appreciate that we need to find innovative and creative solutions in dealing with these issues, and not terminating health care for seniors with Medi-Cal, not cutting back on education in such a dramatic way, and all of the other issues that are on the table right now that are serious issues. But when the governor leaked it yesterday, then held a press conference, and it's the beginning of a discussion that I hope we at the local level appreciate and find out ways in which we can support our constituents in those issues that matter so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have two other council members on the queue. We have Councilor Labange and Councilor Concordia.
This is announcements for
announcements.
The announcements on the 8th of January is Elvis's birthday. The Grammy Museum in downtown Los Angeles will have a special exhibit and display there. Also at the world fabulous Echoplex in Mr. Garcetti's district, all old Elvis fans, young and old Elvis fans, will come to recite and play his music on Sunday night, starting at 4 o'clock at Echoplex off of Sunset Boulevard and Glendale Boulevard. Long live Elvis.
Thank you, Councilor Labange. Councilor Concordia.
This Sunday.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As some of you know, today, January 6th, is marked by the Armenian community throughout the world as Christmas. Originally, throughout Christendom, January 6th was recognized as Christmas, but in the Roman Empire, in order to usurp a pagan holiday, Christmas was moved from January 6th to December 25th. In the eastern part of Christendom, that was not necessary, and so it has remained throughout the history of Christianity in the Armenian community as January 6th. So today is Christmas. I want to wish all of my colleagues a very Merry Christmas today, and to all of our Armenian American city employees and the Armenian American community throughout Los Angeles. I want to wish them Shnoravor Nor Dari Yev Surt Zenunt.
Merry Christmas to you, Councilor Concordia. Our next speaker is Councilor Alarcon.
Council members, I wanted to announce at Hillary T. Broadus Elementary School in Pacoima, we're going to be celebrating the 100th birthday of Hillary T. Broadus. Hillary T. Broadus was one of the first African Americans to move to the Pacoima area in Sun Valley, and he established a church, Calvary Baptist, which is very prominent in the community. And his legacy transcends just his religious work. He was also a business owner. He owned a barber shop. He was a tremendous mentor to many, many, including his 10 children. And almost all of his children are engaged in social, political, or religious activities in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. Anybody in the valley knows the Broadus family. And so it's great to celebrate his legacy. He was also a tremendous civil rights activist and helped establish the NAACP. The Valley Interfaith Council and so many other institutions have his fingerprints on them. So if you're interested in participating, this is just a day to enjoy family food and fun with children's games, face painting, magicians, things like that at Hillary T. Broadus Avenue Elementary School, 12561 Fillmore Street in Pacoima, California. Secondly, Tony Cardenas and I are participating in an event to clean up an area along Devonshire which is on both the 6th and 7th districts. And this is going to be an art, music, dance sort of festival. It's called the Art by the Community Festival, but we are also going to be cleaning up a pathway along the side of Devonshire. This will be held at, let me find the address, 14758 Devonshire Boulevard at Woodman. There's a Devonwood Park right there, and so we would invite everybody to come to help the community celebrate art and the cleanup of the community.
Thank you, Councilman Alarcon. Our next speaker is Councilmember Zine.
Mr. President, I'd just like to introduce someone who we're going to be seeing around the council chambers who's a newly elected director to the Los Angeles Police Protective League, Lieutenant Craig Lally. If you'll please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Welcome. Newly elected to the Board of Directors of the Police Protective League, comes out of West Valley as a watch commander, where the officers are very sad to see you leave, but we're happy to see you here in City Hall. Thank you. Lieutenant Craig Lally, new member of the PPL.
Well, any more announcements, colleagues? I do have one last one. It is to invite the public to these very important hearings regarding shaping your council district boundaries. In District 1, on Saturday, January 7th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at St. Peter's Italian Catholic Church at 1039 North Broadway, we'll be having a hearing. It's one of 15 hearings that are occurring throughout the city. I hope everyone is attending that are concerned with issues regarding the boundaries of their future districts. So I invite you all to come and attend. That being said, adjourning motions, colleagues? Okay, please stand. Councilor Alarcon?
Council members, I have two adjourning motions. One is to recognize the past mayor, former mayor of the city of San Fernando, Julianne Reyes, who passed away at the age of 56 on New Year's Eve in her sleep. She had a rare condition called dissemination Schwannian neuropathy. Bottom line is she had deteriorated muscular control, and it was the whole community suffered with her as she was very visible in her activism and community work, and yet you could see the deterioration as time passed on. She struggled with it, she fought, and she lived a long time. She passed away in her home in the city of San Fernando, and despite her condition, it was an unexpected passing, as she was alert and worked up until the day before she died. Julie was born in Los Angeles, California on July 29, 1955, to Elvira and Angel Orozco, and resided in the city of San Fernando for most of her life. She graduated from Alemany High School in 1973, went on to receive her Bachelor of Arts in Education from Cal State Northridge, an Associate Arts degree in Child Development from Los Angeles Mission College, and a Master of Arts in Human Development from Pacific Oaks College. She was in the process of completing her PhD in Education. She was married to Joe Relis on June 25, 1977, after which they had 4 children, Nicole, Iris, Camille, and Joseph. Julie was a founding member and teacher at Escuela de la Gente Children's Center in Pacoima, owner and director of the Relis Gaviota Family Child Care Home in San Fernando, and a parent education child care occupations instructor for Los Angeles Unified School District. For 20 years, Julie served as a professor of child development at Mission College. During her time at Mission College, she obtained numerous grants for Mission College Family Child Care Homes Network, the Welfare to Work Child Care Service Provider Program, and careers in child care training programs. In addition, she served as program director of the Los Angeles Mission College Family Child Care Homes Network, co-coordinator of the LAMC Early Childhood Mentor Program, and served on the District Academic Senate and Mission College Academic Senate for 8 years. Since 1997, she wrote several successful grant proposals which brought over $10 million to the community college district. She also served as mayor and city council member of the city of San Fernando from 2003 to 2009. During her time on the council, she initiated the Children, Youth, Families Advisory Committee, Youth Council, and revived the Disaster Council, served on the Los Angeles County Library Commission, designed the City of San Fernando brochure, revived a sister city relationship with Colima, Mexico, helped establish the San Fernando Museum of Arts History, and supported the continuation of programs for children, youth, and seniors. I actually met Julie in 1970, in the early 70s, when she was a muralist. She worked on various mural projects, including the Great Wall of L.A., with Judy Baca, who most of you know. Julie assisted Judy as she designed portable mural projects and designed and painted her Social Harmony mural near the corner of Vos and Radford in North Hollywood, California. I actually was working next door while she was painting the mural. I can still see her up on the scaffolds. Thank you, Tom. Scaffolds, painting a beautiful mural with summer youth employment workers that were working for me. She was a volunteer art instructor for children in the community. Julie served as an officer for many different organizations. But let's just suffice to say that she was a tremendous activist in the Northeast Valley community. Her husband Joe and I went back to, he was a leader at San Fernando High, I was at Poly High School, and we worked in community projects together. So I know this family very, very well, and I'm very sad at Julie's passing. But I know that the family has a sense of relief that she fought the good fight. She did a lot of good, notwithstanding her muscular degeneration, and as a result of that, the community benefited. So there is some sense of relief that she accomplished great things, and her children and family, I'm sure, will carry on her good works.
Thank you, Councilman Alarcon.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had one other.
One more.
Yeah. This is for Henry Hank Tunney. Henry was born in New York on June 23rd, 1949, and passed away on December 27th, 2011, after battling prostate cancer. He went to Thousand Oaks High and later attended Arizona State University. That is where he met his wife, Carrie, with whom he shared 33 years of marriage. They had two sons, Aaron and Adam. They moved from Arizona to Northridge in 1985, where he bought his first McDonald's, which was at the corner of Reseda and Nordoff. He slowly expanded the business, buying a total of 6 different McDonald's, including 3 in Council District 7. And that's the connection to me, but I think Dennis and others have connections with him as well. His values were work and family. His favorite baseball team were the New York Yankees. Notwithstanding that, he was a good guy. He always donated to different organizations and schools, as well as being a supporter of Camp Ronald McDonald's for Good Times, which is a camp for children with cancer. He's survived by his wife, Carrie, and 2 sons. The memorial service was held on Tuesday, January 3rd at Our Lady of Lourdes Church in Northridge.
Thank you. Next adjourning motion, please. Councilman Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. 2 quick adjourning motions. Our first is for Jose Palacios Cela, who was born in San Felipe, Mexico in 1971. In 2007, here in the Los Angeles area, he applied for a job at Active Recycling Company. He was hired with no formal training or experience in recycling. He was a quick learner, was able to promote from helper up to a master sorter of over 100 types of non-ferrous metals. For his hard work, he could provide for his wife and children who were over 1,000 miles away in Mexico. But in 2010, last year, he was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Despite the prognosis, he remained positive, insisted he could work, continue on with life as normal as possible. With the doctor's permission, he would go from work to treatment, or some days from treatment to a full day of work, until he literally no longer had the strength or doctor's permission to work. His dedication to his work for the purpose of making a better life for himself and his family will never be forgotten by those he touched in his lifetime. All the staff and customers that Jose touched will never forget him, as he was an inspiration to all, passing away at the young age of 41. Survived by his wife, Maria Socorro, his 3 children, Itzale, Osvaldo, and Uriel, his best friend and unofficial brother, Esteban Reyes. I also ask that we adjourn in memory of Novella Harvey, who passed away on November 14th, 12 hours shy of realizing her 94th birthday. Over the years, she won multiple awards for her baking at the Los Angeles County Fair with her recipes that were later published in the Black Family Reunion Cookbook. She was an entrepreneur and a caterer, which led to a career in specialized family management services. She was very involved in the community, volunteering at the Crenshaw Community Senior Center for over 15 years and the Disabled American Veterans for over 20 years. As a member of Las Madres Club, which is the Mothers of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, she served a term as president and a member for 40 years. But on top of that, she was a local and national bowling champion. One of her hobbies was collecting salt and pepper shakers from around the world, and she was a Dodger fan since the 60s, rarely missing an opening day game. She will greatly be missed, Novella Harvey.
Thank you, Councilman Garcetti. Any other adjourning motions? Councilman Koretz.
Colleagues, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Stanley Diller, who was respected and renowned for his service as president of Yeshiva Gedola and his prominent support of numerous yeshivas. He was also an important leader in the medical field, was a top executive with hospitals and medical centers. Stanley was a survivor of the Holocaust, and he would describe how his belief in God gave him the strength to survive numerous camps and struggles that confronted him from the moment that he was picked up by the Nazis. He and his sister were his only family members to survive. For the rest of his life, Stanley Diller was an extraordinary champion for the Orthodox community, and he touched many hearts through his efforts, philanthropic and otherwise, benefiting countless people. His funeral was held at Yeshiva Gedola yesterday, and he will be much missed and long remembered.
Thank you, Councilman
Please.
Koretz.
Thank you.
Any other adjourning motions? I'm sorry, Councilman Krikorian?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Many of you know Captain Justin Eisenberg of the North Hollywood Division, one of the stellar young leaders of the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm sad to report that on December 22nd, his father, Milton, passed away, and I'd like to ask all members to join me in adjourning this meeting in memory of Mr. Eisenberg. Mr. Eisenberg was the son of immigrant parents who fled Russia during the pogroms in the 1900s. He was a very dedicated student who went to Cornell University Law School and graduated at the young age of 21. He was editor of the Law Review there and then went on to have a stellar legal career. He started with the United States Attorney's Office in the District of Columbia. He went on to become Republican counsel of the House of Representatives Committee on the Judiciary, and from there had a stellar litigation career at the prominent New York firm of Fried Frank, where he became chairman of the Washington Litigation Department. In addition to being one of the exceptional lawyers of our country, Mr. Eisenberg found time to also serve as a captain in the United States Air Force Reserve and to be an exceptional husband and father who raised a large and very outstanding family. At his funeral, Captain Eisenberg said of his father that he was the most important person who shaped my life. From my early years growing up under his roof in our house in Maryland, summers spent in South Carolina fishing and boating, and every special occasion in my life growing up. He was my role model, chief supporter, and primary advisor who guided me through every significant challenge, celebrated every success, and gave me wise counsel whenever needed. And because of that role that he played in Captain Eisenberg's life, he made an enormous contribution to the people of the San Fernando Valley through his son and to our entire city. Milton Eisenberg is survived by his dearly beloved wife, Sue Kim Eisenberg, his children, Justin, Jonathan, David, Beth, Redwood, Seth, Princess, Omar, Bracy, and Dominique Alexander, and 15 grandchildren. The family requests that memorial donations be made to Doctors Without Borders or the American Cancer Society. And members, I'd like you to all join with me in adjourning in the memory of Captain Eisenberg's father, who will be sorely missed. May he rest in peace.
All members. Thank you, Councilman Krikorian. Councilman Rosendahl.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. This week we mourn the loss of civil rights icon Gordon K. Hirabayashi, who challenged the constitutionality of the Japanese-American internment during World War II. Gordon passed away Monday at the age of 93. Dr. Hirabayashi and two others appealed their convictions for violating wartime curfew and exclusion orders all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The court accepted the government's argument that the military necessity and upheld their convictions. In 1987, Dr. Hirabayashi's 1942 conviction was overturned after UC San Diego professor Peter Irons uncovered evidence of government misconduct in the 1942 documents that withheld from the Supreme Court that might have struck down the legal framework for the internment. That decision paved the way for congressional legislation that approved $1.2 billion in reparations to surviving interns. Gordon was born on April 23rd in 1918 in Seattle, Washington. He was the oldest of 5 children. Gordon attended the University of Washington and became a pacifist Quaker while attending a YMCA summer training in New York. Dr. Hirabayashi earned a BA, an MA, and a PhD degree in sociology from the University of Washington. He was well-traveled. He lived in Beirut and in Cairo before settling in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. In Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, he joined the faculty of the Department of Sociology at the University of Alberta in 1960, where he served as chair of the department from 1963 to 1970. He retired from the university in 1983 after having been a faculty member there for 23 years. I might add that I went to the Manzanar internment camp in our great state of California. There were 10 of them throughout the country. 110,000 Japanese Americans were put in these camps for 3 years. And I must say that when I went with a group of my constituents, 7 of them had been part of that camp. And I learned a lot about what happened during World War II. He is survived by his wife Susan, 2 daughters Marion and Sharon, and his son Jay, his sister Esther, 9 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren, and a nephew, Lane Hirabayashi, who's a PhD, a professor of Asian American Studies at UCLA. All of us will miss him. He was a great American and a very courageous fighter for basic human and civil rights for the Japanese Americans. And may he rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilman Rosendahl. I believe Councilman Perry has.
I think we should all go on to that. Mr. Hirabayashi was a significant and is a significant historical figure in telling our history of our country and how our brothers and sisters were treated. And so I think we should all honor his memory and sign on to this.
All
Mr.
members.
Rosendahl.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All members. Councilor LaBonge.
Yeah, as we adjourn in memory of Gene Bartow, the UCLA coach who followed the legendary John Wooden. Tough thing to follow Coach Wooden, but Coach Barlow did and had success at UCLA. He survived by his wife Ruth of 59 years. What great love there. We adjourn in his memory today.
Thank you for that, Councilor LaBonge. Any other adjourning motions? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Have a great day.